This is getting totally out of hand, isn't it? Let's begin. Now, we've heard for a while now, probably actually about as long as some of them have even been alive, that the government is going to get a grip on the sheer amount of illegal boat people coming in from, of course, war-torn France. And this seems to change around about on a monthly basis, doesn't it? Through, one plan or another, but what they're apparently not telling us is something I'm guessing they'd rather keep quiet if this story is anything to go by. The article says that Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick has admitted that a typical residency could be a year. He said the average was around 6 to 12 months due to current accommodation and capacity challenges. Some asylum seekers have been living in hotels since being evacuated from Afghanistan after the Taliban's 2021 takeover. But the growing number of migrants illegally crossing the channel has exposed a broken system, with taxpayers forking out £6.7 million a day or £2.4 billion yearly. Officials are said to be negotiating a 5-year all-inclusive contracts with private landlords, and they will cover rent, council tax, maintenance and energy bills, said Dover MP Natalie Elphick. Hang on a minute, 5 years, so they move out of a nice cushy hotel after being in there for a year, getting room service and everything, and then they get moved on to a landlord where they could be there for up to 5 years. I mean, does anyone else think that there's no way near sorting out the growing problem of illegal migrants? It just makes me wonder if they're even serious about plans like the Rwanda plan, and of course any other ones that will come along, presumably saying they'll be processed offshore, which I've got a feeling is now less likely to happen. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind if people come here legally and have all the proper checks and stuff. It's the illegal part I do actually have the problem with. And the good thing about processing people offshore is that it hopefully might make some people think twice before attempting the dangerous journey, especially if their application is processed at a snail's pace and then eventually denied. Presumably, of course, because they'll have no legitimate reason to come across to us in the first place. Or could this whole 5 years be the time that they potentially think that it could take to get rid of the ECHR? Or presumably the British Bill of Rights through Parliament. Either way though, the lefty lawyers certainly won't like it when that goes through. But at the minute, after hearing this, it seems like they've kind of given up and seem to just be content on spending more and more taxpayers' money needlessly, especially now at the time of a cost of living crisis. Ministers looking to short-term accommodation also plan to use half a dozen holiday parks, which are due to be available in January. Miss Elphick said the government must focus on basic and decent accommodation, not third world style massive asylum camps. Well, to be honest, I don't think Haven will really like being called that. And before now, there have been times where they've been put in army barracks, which, to be honest, if it's good enough for our soldiers, then it should be good enough for people who come to us with what they say is a legitimate need for help. Presumably they'd be grateful, wouldn't they? But Lee Anderson, the Tory MP for Ashfield, who sits on the Home Affairs Committee, said it's an absolute scandal that they are in taxpayer-funded hotels at all. How long does it take to decide if someone should stay in the UK? I would say an average of 6 to 8 days, but even then it's pushing it. The number of migrants crossing the channel by boat passed 44,800 this year, after 555 brave sub-zero temperatures at the weekend. This week, Home Secretary Sola Braverman is expected to announce plans to fast-track the deportation of Albanian Channel migrants. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how successful she is with that. But as long as the government appears to be doing what it's doing in this video, then I think it will take much longer. Anyway, subscribe for more and I'll see you in the next one.